The anti-LGBTQI plus bill has been in Ghana's parliament for more than 3 years. The bill, titled Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values, proposes up to 3-year jail sentence for anyone convicted for identifying as LGBTQ plus. It also criminalizes the advocacy of LGBTQ rights and pushes for up to 5-year jail terms for people convicted of doing so. On Wednesday, Ghana's parliament passed the bill amidst attempts by some lawmakers to replace jail sentences with community service and counseling. The proposed changes, however, were not considered. Polling data suggests the anti-LGBTQ bill is widely supported by Ghanaians who cite cultural and religious beliefs. Ghana's president will now have to sign the bill into law for it to take effect. But human rights organizations say the new bill, when passed into law, will make an already terrifying situation for members of the LGBTQ community much worse. A group of civil society organizations say they will head to the courts to challenge the anti-gay bill if the president signs it into law. The United Nations AIDS Agency, UNAIDS, also has warned that the anti-gay bill could further worsen attacks and violence against people who identify as LGBTQ+, as well as prevent people in the community from seeking life-saving health care if it is passed into law. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, SABC News, Accra, Ghana.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, Bahashem, meaning in the name, Yahweh Shai, meaning He is our salvation, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus a so-called black man. Ghana Parliament passes a anti-alphabet bill, okay? And you seen from the clip that was played, excuse me, Ghana Parliament has passed this bill that would, give jail time to those of the alphabet community that are, prosecuted under this bill, okay? They're going to do jail time. And people are in a, uproar, excuse me, speaking specifically about the Human Rights Organization. And that's, furthermore going to show you, how Esau Edom tries to, place his imprint on something that doesn't belong to him, okay? Here it is, this country that's, governing themselves, Africa, and you have a human rights organization worrying about, these, people having their human rights being, compromised by having this bill being passed if it go into effect and it passes through the parliament and becomes a law. If that's what these people want in their country, who is these people, speaking of this human rights organization, and we probably know it's probably spearheaded by some Western, country that's pushing their philosophy off onto these countries, that they don't, excuse me, that they don't want to, have, influence through their, society, okay? These people don't want, that type of lifestyle prevalent in their country, okay? And they have the right to that, that decision, okay? But no, you have organizations like the Human Rights Organization that wants to, have these people that's in this lifestyle, this community, this, alphabet community, to have these so-called human rights, okay? Going to show you that this Western type of society is not conducive at all, man. Okay? So let's read this article on CNN.com, and it reads, Ghana's parliament passes anti-you see it bill. Okay, it says, excuse me, Johannesburg, CNN. Ghana's parliament on Wednesday unanimously passed a controversial you see it, bill that has drawn international condemnation, okay? And, that just goes to show you that this Western, this Western philosophy, these Western countries, man, particularly speaking of Babylon the Great, which is America, they want to put their imprint on everybody else's business but their own. Okay, they want to try to make it seem like what this country Ghana's doing is against, some type of religion. Okay, if they don't want people of their country, partaking in these ideologies that's being upheld by these Western, countries, speaking particularly in Babylon Great, which is America, where everybody comes to, be liberated and do as they want and have all these type of, debauchery and, same gender, encounters, then they have the right to not want their country to do that, okay? And that reminds me of, in the Maccabees, where Antiochus wanted everybody to forget their laws and, go with the laws of their kingdom, okay? The same way America wants everybody to follow after their laws, okay? And allowing the same gender to, have intercourse with the same gender, okay? But Ghana wants to, have some type of moral and morale about their country, and they don't want, this type of lifestyle being prevalent in their country. And in doing so, they want to, pass this bill to punish those that do, okay? And they want to put them, I believe, in, prison and have them serve a certain amount of time, okay? Now that's light, that's light compared to what's going to happen once, the Israelites come into authority and, take back over this earth and put everything back into its proper perspective, because these type of acts right here, once we, put these countries in subjectivity for those 1,000 years, and then we send these countries back to their own land, if they get caught with these type of, actions or acts, this type of act is, punishable by the way of, perishing, okay? And we're going to get that in the law as well. So let's continue to read. It says, Johannesburg CNN. Ghana's parliament on Wednesday unanimously passed a controversial anti-H bill that has drawn international condemnation. After 3 long years, we have finally passed the Human Rights and Family Values Act, said Sam George, one of the main sponsors of the bill on X, formerly known as Twitter. The bill, which was introduced in the parliament in 2021, not only criminalized the alphabet relationships, but also those who support the alphabet rights. Okay, they want to, cut that whole segment out of their society. They don't want any of that in their society. And can you blame them? That's their decision. Okay, it's not up to some Western country to come in here and try to tell them what they can and what they cannot do. But that's just like Babylon the Great, America, to try to, put their imprint on, things that don't pertain to them. Okay? Excuse me. It says African countries still widely criminalize same-sex activity, mostly because of colonial era laws. Right. And, that was back when, these countries was colonized through, the Europeans, okay? They have put their imprint on these African countries, and these African countries for the longest have been under their foot, and they getting tired of this, and they, making a stance, okay? And if they don't want to have this type of, nonsense and act part of their society, that's their right to do so, okay? Now it says, where were we at? African countries still widely criminalize same-sex activity, mostly because of the colonial era laws. But a raft of recent bills and proposed laws across Africa have looked to clarify and, in some cases, strengthen those laws. A recent CNN investigation uncovered alleged links between a U.S. nonprofit and the drafting of the homophobic laws. The group denied those links. The bill in Ghana still needs to be signed off by the country's president before it becomes law. Okay, and we're going to see, exactly how this plays out because, certain things tend to happen when you go against the regime. And if this, is not part of the plan, then you may see this president not, be able to fully fill this, law. Okay. So you see how, this Western, society is being influenced throughout the whole earth. Okay. And even against the countries that don't want it, they still are influenced heavily by this Western, society. Okay. They don't want this lifestyle that's prevalent here in America where, you could be with the same gender. They don't want this type of lifestyle in their country, and they have that right to. And if they want to punish those individuals by doing so, that's their right too, okay? You don't see Ghana trying to tell America what to do, okay? But yet, these Western countries can try to, voice their opinion and, use their authority to tell Ghana what they can and what they cannot do, all right? So it says the bill in Ghana still needs to be signed off by the country's president before it becomes law. The United Nations Human Rights Chief Volker Turk called Parliament's passing of the bill profoundly disturbing and urged the government not to sign it into law. You see how the United Nations tried to persuade the government not to do something, that doesn't have anything to do with them, because why? The United Nations, which is, part of that Western, hegemony, of these Edomites, they want to continue to place their imprint throughout this whole society, throughout this whole earth, throughout this whole land, okay? Now it says the bill broadens the scope of criminal sanctions against the L's, the G's, the B's, the T's, and the Q's. People simply for being who they are, and threaten criminal penalties against perceived allies of the alphabet people, he said. And they're only these type of peoples because they've been, brainwashed through these Western doctrines, through these Western philosophies, whether it's through the TVs, through the, entertainment or whatever, that these individuals have seen, from the Western part of the world, okay? They've been heavily influenced in this, okay? And that's why Ghana's government is trying to eradicate this out of their society, okay? And they want to pass this law so that these people that are continuing to live in this lifestyle can be punished by it, okay? Now it says, responding to the passing of the bill, UNAIDS Executive Director Winnie Byanyima warned that if the bill did become a law, it would affect everyone and hamper the country's fight against the HI and the what, okay? No, that's going to, make it try to drop those numbers down, okay? Because you're not going to have the same gender on top of each other spreading those type of pestilence, all right? Now, let's see if there's anything else here in this article before we go and get a few scriptures on this. That's it. So, yeah. Okay. I thought it said something about the amount of time that they were going to spend if they get locked up for this, but I guess that's on another article that I read. But I think in the video it said 3 to 5 years if they found guilty. So, this could be something that could be, worth passing if they get around to it in their government. But like, it said, it said what? I believe United Nations Human Rights Organization is trying to, persuade their government not to do that, okay? And that's just, Esau Edom, man, always sticking their nose in business that don't belong to them, all right? So let's get a few scriptures and let's take it from there. Okay, we are in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and verse 5, and it says, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Okay, this is speaking of Esau Edom. And you seen it in that article that we read, the United Nations want, the government to heavily think about this before they make their decision. Because why? They are, speaking of the Edomites, the so-called white people, you know, they are the ones that's in authority, and they dictate whether or not, you know, policies get passed. And that's how they transgress by wine, because they have these other countries to get drunk off of their different philosophies. And one of their philosophies is this alphabet community type of stuff. But no, Ghana don't wants to partake in that. And, you know, the United Nations is trying to heavily influence Ghana to not pass this law, okay? Trying to, you know, influence the president not to pass this law. But this is an election year for Ghana as well, so we're going to see how things play out, you know, and will this law, you know, come into, you know, fruition or not, okay? So it says, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, okay? He doesn't, you know, meddle in, you know, his own affairs. He wants to, you know, put himself in affairs that don't have anything to do with him, okay? And this is one incident where he's trying to, you know, insert his authority over a matter that doesn't have anything to do with him, okay? This is a matter that has to do with Ghana and whether or not they want to have their citizens to be punished, you know, for you know, involving themselves in these type of acts, okay? So it says, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as deaf and cannot be satisfied. So he can never be satisfied. That's why he keeps meddling in affairs and businesses that don't pertain to him. Okay, it says, but gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Okay, and that's what he want to do. He wants to gather all nations and heap it to him all peoples, you know, so that he can lay down his philosophies and his, you know, ideologies and influence the, you know, other countries, okay? That's why these other countries are seething and licking their chops, you know, at the opportunity to, you know, come against the hammer of the earth, which is America, which is their military, okay? They can't wait to team up and take down America when the time is right, all right? So you see how America is influenced throughout the earth, you know, and these countries, although they want to fight, you know, and resist these ideologies and philosophies, they're heavily influenced not to, you know, because why? This military, this strength in this military has been for the longest part of America's, you know, part of America's allure, that what? They have the strongest military, but these other countries are slowly but surely gaining and creeping on this U.S. military that's, you know, coming to a rivalry, okay? So that's why, you know, things are coming to a, you know, a boiling point, because these other countries are getting tired of being told what to do by these Western countries, all right? Now let's go there and read that in First Maccabees, because I see the parallel between, you know, King Antiochus and, you know, America, Babylon the Great, because they want to, you know, persuade these other countries to follow after them, all right? So this is First Maccabees, and excuse me, 1, and let's jump down to verse 41. It says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king, okay? And you see how the UN, the United Nations, wants everyone to have the, you know, the ability to have their human rights, you know, that they all should be afforded that, you know, equal opportunity to live their lifestyle how they want to live it, okay? And that in doing so, the president of Ghana shall not allow this bill to be passed, but in opposition and contrary, he shouldn't pass his bill and allow that community, the alphabet community, to thrive and strive in his and her own, you know, perspective way, okay? But Ghana doesn't want that type of, lifestyle prevalent in their country, okay? And they have a right to. And like I said, in the kingdom, that's not going to be, okay? When these countries and these other, heathens are allowed to go back to their lands after their 1,000 years in captivity, if they get caught doing that, we're going to read what the punishment is accordingly, okay? Now let's go to the Torah, and let's read Deuteronomy 22, and let's read verse 5. And it reads, "The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto Yahweh thy power." Right. So these alphabet individuals that form a community of those letters, they sometimes put on garments that don't belong to them so that they could, rationalize in their, mind that they are these other entities that they're trying to be, okay? If they're of the, gender of a male, they want to dress up and put on garments that pertain to a woman, okay? And vice versa, so that they can rationalize in their mind that they are these other people. But that's just, an evil spirit, okay? Those are demons that's on them, all right? So it says, Deuteronomy 22:5, "The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man," which we know are breeches or trousers or pants. "Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment." We know that's a dress or blouse. "For all that do so are abomination unto Yahweh thy power." All right? Now let's go into Leviticus, and let's read that in the 18th chapter before we get to judgment. Okay? Leviticus 18, and let's go to verse 22. It says, "Thou shalt not lie with mankind." It's like it says, "Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is an abomination." Okay? So a man shouldn't lie with another man like he lied with a woman. All right? It's abomination. And we're going to get that judgment accordingly. Okay? Because these judgments are going to be enforced throughout the earth when the Israelites come into authority. Okay? We're going to have these other nations under these, judgments. If they are found, guilty of it, they're going to have to pay the price. Now it says, "Neither shall thy lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith." Verse 23, it says, "Neither shall thy lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto." It is confusion, all right? And, they have a thing called bestiality that, they, do these type of things here, and it's allowed here in Babylon the Great, all right? So they allow, individuals to lay with animals and things of that magnitude like they lay with, humans, okay? And that's, rewarded here in Babylon the Great, all right? So, this Bible, it's a tool, it's a guide to our, our heritage, our culture, and it tells us, and it gives us a heads up and tells us what we can and what we cannot do, all right? And you see that this society is in total opposition of what the word says, man. And it's just, it's just evident. It's evident, all right? So now let's go into the judgment for this, because this is going to be, enforced throughout the kingdom, all right? Now this is Leviticus 20, and let's read the judgment. Let's go down to verse 13. All right, it says, "If a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination." And what is the judgment? "They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them." Okay? So these judgments are going to be enforced throughout the kingdom once we come into rulership, and once we, break these nations with that rod of iron, and they go into, captivity for 1,000 years, and they go back to their homeland, if they're found doing these type of abominations, they will be persecuted under these judgments, okay? Let's go there and read that in Revelation. Chapter 2. Let's go down to the bottom and start at, excuse me. Let's start at 25. It says, but that which ye have already hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Right. So those of us that keep the work unto the end and endure to the end, we're going to get that crown, and we're going to be able to rule over these other nations. It says, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I receive of my Father. Right. So under Yahushua, we're going to break these other nations as a what? As a vessel of a potter. We're going to break them. We're going to, rule rigorously over them. We're going to, beat them with that rod of iron. They're going to learn our law, statutes, and commandments. And for those 1,000 years, they're going to build up the walls of Jerusalem. There's going to be plenty of work to do in the kingdom, okay? And then after that 1,000 years, they're going to be allowed to go back to their, prospective, land, and they're going to still be under the law, statute, commandments. But if they go off, because they're not going to have that, that perfect heart, okay? They're going to be still sin, because why? These heathens, these other nations aren't going to be under that new covenant. So they're going to be able to still, commit sin. And we're going to have to be able to, judge accordingly, according to the law, statute, commandments, and judgments, okay? And we're going to have to, judge them and give them, the judgments according to their, according to their sin, okay? So if they get caught doing this, then this is the judgment for that. And we read that in Leviticus, the 20th chapter, the 13th verse. What's the judgment for, man lying with men as they lay with womankind, okay? We seen what is punishable by. Now it says, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I receive of my Father. And I will give him the morning star. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Right. And we are the church, For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. All right. Now, when we read this in Revelation 20 in verse 4, I believe, it shows you, it says, excuse me, and I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua. Right. Those of us that endure to the end, some of our lots are going to be beheaded for, the witness of Yahushua. Some of us are going to be martyrs. But what does it say? And for the word of the Most High, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon his foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Hamashiach 1,000 years, okay? So we're going to be part of that, first resurrection that reigns with Yahushua for 1,000 years, and, put these other nations in subjectivity and bring them into slavery and rule over them with that rod of iron for those 1,000 years before we send them back to their, back to their respective, lands, okay? But they're going to, be ruled rigorously and get broken like that potter's vessel, okay? We're going to rule them with that rod of iron. They're going to learn our laws, our statutes, our commandments, and when they go back to their prospective lands, if they break our laws, statutes, and commandments, they're going to be under those judgments that come along with them, okay? So this little, jail time that they receive if they, get caught doing these acts is not going to be anything compared to what the punishment is going to be for those that do this in the kingdom, okay? So while Edom is trying to worry about, how these are human rights and all this, nonsense, and, not worrying about what he needs to worry about, which is, the things that pertain to his, his little piece of land that he stole from our people. Speaking of the Native Americans, you know, he's so busy worrying about everybody else. He got to, worry about and keep him at his home, but he doesn't do that because, he's always, worried about putting his finger in somebody else's business. Okay, so he gonna have his time, in a little bit to get what it is that he's got coming to him. Because after his 1,000 years, that's going to be it for Esau Edom, pursuant to Obadiah 1 and 18. Okay, we're going to, bundle them up and, burn them in fire. All right. And it says that in Obadiah 1:18. Let's go there and read that. All right. This is Obadiah 1. And let's just jump right to it. 18, it says, in the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame. That's all 12 tribes. In the house of Esau for stubble. And we know what fire and flames do to stubble. They burn it up. It says, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh hath spoken it. So this is thus saith Yahweh, okay? This is the word of Yahweh that says that, okay? After those 1,000 years, Esau Edom goes into slavery and he, pays his dues. He's going to get, kindled in a fire, okay? Thus saith Yahweh, all right? So he's going to be it. That's going to be it for Esau Edom, okay? The other nations are going to be able to go back to their, prospective lands. But as far as Esau Edom, for all his wickedness, that's going to be it for him. We're going to get rid of him. That's going to be the end of that cancer, and that's going to be it, all right? So we're not going to take too much more of your time. We're going to go ahead and close out with 1 Peter 5 and verse 8. And it reads, be sober, be vigilant, okay? Because what? Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. And he want to continue to perpetuate this sin throughout the whole earth. You see how somebody come up against, this devil's agenda that's, morally speaking, that's morally valued. He wants to, demonize that person by saying something like human rights. Okay, that's not human rights. That's not human equality. Everybody should be treated the same, no matter what their, preferences is. We strongly, urge the president of Ghana not to go through with this law as pertaining to human rights. Esau Edom is always sticking their nose in, somebody else's business, man. He's not a keeper at home. Here it is, speaking of America, there's so many things going on in America, but yet they want to, stick their nose in other people's business, man. All right? So be sober, be vigilant, all right? Know what time we in. You seeing it for yourself, Esau Edom wants to continue to perpetuate this sin throughout the whole earth, okay? And we have some of our people in Ghana, okay? Because we were scattered throughout all corners of the earth, okay? So you have Israelites in Ghana, and that's West Africa, okay? That's along that coast where we were, taken from, back in the transatlantic slaves, speaking of, the Southern Kingdom, and brought over here to the coast of the Americas, all right? So, we are scattered throughout all the four corners of the earth. So, be sober, be vigilant, because Esau Edom, man, he just wants this world to continue to be in sin, all right? And he wants everybody under the same law as him, all right? So that we can all be one. But, this is all coming to an end. So let's read this one more time and then let's close out. 1 Peter 5 and verse 8, and it reads, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour, all right? That's why we got to keep in this truth. Wisdom and knowledge to be the stability of our time, and the fear of Yahweh, our treasure, all right? So with that being said, I pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the good Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We almost home. Shalom. Peace.